All hail the Carrion King. That simple 5-word phrase heralds the approach of the relatively unheard of indie fantasy monster, the Carrion King, a villain so powerful that he is quite literally immortal, unless a very specific ritual and cause of events is completed to herald his demise, a demise that, if triggered, spells doom for all the worlds of the multiverse. So who is the Carrion King? While a little self-indulgent, he is the main villain and titular character of my own debut novel, All Hail the Carrion King, and in honour of its 2nd year anniversary, I felt it appropriate to honour my monstrous brainchild with a video of his own. The Carrion King first appeared in the novel All Hail the Carrion King by, well, me, Thomas Godfrey. In it, he is an omnipotent overlord that reigns over the world. He resides in a castle in a hellish pocket dimension that can only be accessed by specific gateways. At his disposal is an army of knights and angels that have willingly given up their eyes in order to serve him. His thralls also include vampires, automatous glass men, and legions of naked slaves locked inside featureless metal masks. The Carrion King has many appearances, as the Carrion King himself is not really a single corporeal entity. He is instead the Preserver-Year, a nebulous vortex of lights and colours which represents the middle of the Great Cycle, the preservation and stagnation of mortal life. However, his present form, the Carrion King, is created to be the ultimate idol of mortality, a being that no man can ever refute. He possesses the eyes of Horus, the tongues of the devil, the sceptre of Anubis, and the crown of Christ, to name a few of the trinkets and fetishes on his person. As the Carrion King is no creature at all, and it is part of the Great Cycle, its brothers include the Creator-Year and the Destroyer-Year. The Carrion King is the preserver, and the novel focuses on the prophecy regarding the downfall of the Carrion King. Only one person in history had ever said no to the Carrion King and the pleasures that he offered, and that was the Messiah. However, it is fated that one will again. Until that day, the powers of the Carrion King only grow, and the Destroyer-Year must lead a young artist into his court, and the artist must say no to the Carrion King. The Carrion King, much like the Destroyer-Year and the Creator-Year, are stuck in a time loop until this event is completed. The Carrion King, much like other Year creatures, have no free will. He is bound on strings of fate and must act and react in pre-scripted fashion. This includes the time loop. His powers and abilities include the ability to turn humans into voiceless grey ones and the ability to interact with the strings of other creatures. In the novel All Hail the Carrion King, the Destroyer-Year, currently possessing the last true jester of the West, leads a young artist called Isaac Veritas into the Carrion King's court, in the hopes that Isaac will be the one to refute him and fulfill the prophecy. However, Isaac kneels to the Carrion King, and the cycle renews, making the Carrion King one of the few Dark Lords to ever be completely victorious. While All Hail the Carrion King is the Carrion King's first published appearance, the short story, The Court of the Carrion King, which was included in the novel as well, was written before that. The short story was shopped around, but no publication wanted to purchase it. In the story, the Carrion King is a very different character. In it, he is a bloated tyrant that rules from a similarly grisly castle full of jesters. However, inside the court of the Carrion King, nobody can tell the truth. If they do, they are eaten. However, in this story, the Carrion King, which while still being supernatural is just a fat king, is tricked by the jester into admitting that he is indeed the Carrion King, thus telling the truth, and then being killed. The Carrion King is mentioned in the novella The Seraph of Kitsch, and graffiti featuring the moniker All Hail the Carrion King is featured in the novel Dead Skin Mask. The Carrion King was heavily inspired by Stephen King's Crimson King, and even shares the same slogan. The novel, however, jokes about this. The Carrion King represents a satirical take on the media and art establishments like Hollywood and the mainstream music industry. The Carrion King is never defeated in the novel, but he is defeated in the short story. This serves to be the major differentiation of the character. In All Hail the Carrion King is a cold, calculating, and competent villain, whereas in the short story he is a bumbling buffoon and a complete joke of a villain. The only 2 pieces of art depicting the Carrion King were both drawn by the same metal album artist, Reza Putra, who can be found on Fiverr. While the Carrion King's mantra is All Hail the Carrion King, the full version is actually, when the eyes had been given and the tongues had been taken, one verse remained on the lips of the knights. All hail the Carrion King. Thank you all very much for watching. Not a particularly common villain. Obviously, he is my own, but in honour of the book's 2-year anniversary, I thought I'd like to do a video on it. You can check out the Court of the Carrion King short story for free on my website, alongside the Seraph of Kitch part 1 through 3 are up right now. The other 2 parts will be coming in the next few weeks. The novel All Hail the Carrion King is available through Amazon if this video has piqued your interest. And if you have read it, let me know what you thought about the Carrion King in the comments below. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you all again next time.